Good evening. Welcome to the final event of this term. Couldn't be closer to the end of term. Really delighted that you could all make it, and particularly delighted that Garry Kasparov could be here with us. This is the third visit to the Oxford Martin School that Garry's made, and we've developed a really extraordinary, I think, relationship, which is of immense benefit to the Oxford Martin School. And I think it's also been one which has been of benefit to the wider community in Oxford. So Garry, I do want to begin by thanking you so much for once again making the journey here and being with us tonight. Garry, as you all know, is the greatest chess champion in the world of all time. He still has that record, and from the age of 22, he led the world. He has been able, over his career, not only to outwit all his opponents, but to show the most extraordinary innovation and dynamism in the way he's taken the game forward. And so people around the world who love chess love Garry, because he has really transformed the game in many, many ways and made it even more beautiful. He's also someone who will go down in history as having taken on machines, big time. A whole series of matches with Deep Blue, Deep Thought, other computers that were able to operate at 3 million transactions a second, or flops a second. Garry was still able to go better than them. And he, I'm sure, will tell us a bit about the difference between machine intelligence and human intelligence and the interface between them. And that's what we're extremely interested in, this machine-human interface and how it takes us forward. There are various groups across the Oxford Martin School working on the future of computing, on technology and society, and quantum computing in other areas. And so this is an issue of great significance. And while Garry's here, he will also be convening. He's already done 2 workshops. He's got 1 more to go tomorrow morning. We work him extremely hard when he's here with groups of academics thinking through some of these issues. Garry is an author. He's written very widely, and I encourage you to look at his books about what we can learn from chess, how it can help us with decision theory. And he's also a person who wants to change the world for the better. So he has led a political party in his native Russia. He's been involved in the process of transformation of there. He's been arrested in protesting against the arrest of the Pussy Riot rock band. And he's extremely interested now in direct democracy and how we can use technologies to improve the way that democracies work and that citizens have their right. He's also interested in how chess evolves in the world and ensuring that poor people in poor places get an opportunity to see how chess can enhance creativity. And so I'm delighted to hear that he's standing for the presidency of the FIDE Global Chess Association in August, and I hope that all of you that have any friends that can influence anyone that's in a FIDE membership position encourages them to make the sensible decision when they get to vote. But I really imagine and hope that after August, Garry will also be the president of the World Chess Association, FIDE. So it's a huge pleasure, Garry, to have you here. And we'll give you the floor, and then we'll have an opportunity afterwards to engage in conversation with you. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you very much for this introduction. I'm also very honored to be here and just to celebrate my first academic credentials. So when I left New York, I wanted to explain to my 7-year-old daughter what I'm planning to do in Oxford, but instead of telling her about visiting senior fellow, I told her that I will sort it out to Gryffindor. That impressed her very much. The subject, the topic of today's talk is human plus machine, and since I I was probably one of very few humans who had a good experience of fighting the machine. So I was always looking for an opportunity to combine these two seemingly opposite forces. First, okay, let me start.
You can just use the keys on the machine.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, fine. That's it. Thank you. Thank you, advice. Machines don't like me. Now, before we move into man plus machine, so we just probably have to figure out what's the difference. So it seems quite obvious, you know, you have brute force of calculation versus human creativity and intuition, probably we have to acknowledge that chess is only territory where you can make this comparison. Because, you know, there's no need for us to compete in mathematics, or, you know, just I don't think that machines are capable of writing a great novel. So maybe I'm wrong, by the way, so I have to apologize if somebody has the opposite opinion, but still, it's in chess you can definitely find out at what point brute force of calculation can match or even prevail over human creativity and intuition. By the way, I have to make one comment that I think this factor is highly underestimated, and what makes this competition, man versus computer, is almost impossible, or literally impossible for humans to win. It's something about psychological stamina. It's because when two humans play, whether we play chess or any other game, these games, these competitions, always filled with inaccuracies. Even if you look at the chess masterpiece, you know, world championship game, and this game could be celebrated, collecting all sorts of awards, I bet you that there will be at least tiny inaccuracies. Because normally in the human competition, you know, favors are, you know, given back and forth. So even if you make a small, you know, inaccuracy, normally it doesn't affect the result of the game. In a human game, you can make 45 good moves, 4 great moves, and 1 small inaccuracy, and you will still win. Because the opposite side, which was losing, always, you know, also loses confidence that the game can be saved. So the level of resistance in the human chess or in any sort of human competition is very different from what you can face by playing the machine. Now, with machine, you make 1 inaccurate move. No, you're not going to lose, but the victory will slip out of your hands. So the level of concentration, sort of the level of vigilance, which is required to be the computer, it's virtually unheard in a human competition. So that's why, you know, I think that from now on we'll be talking more about the theoretical comparison rather than, you know, trying to actually match human brains versus the computer. Still, I think that the best human player under certain conditions has a chance, but then you have to create sort of a very friendly environment. For instance, you can play 10 games match, but humans must win only 1 game. So not being bothered about the result of the rest of the game. So just to concentrate on the 1 game and we can hope that at the best day, the best human player is still capable to prevail over the best computer. Okay, that's my hope, but I don't think that this kind of competition will be organized. So I also have to say that my time on the top of the world of chess, from 85 to 2005, was quite a historic moment when we saw the machines, the rise of the machines. In 1985, just before I won the World Championship match, I played a simultaneous exhibition with 32 computers. You know, 4 main manufacturers of chess-playing computers. At that time, we had chess-playing computers. So they had 32 computers. I won all the games. So 12 years later, I was not as successful. So you may say that I was not lucky, but if you look at this problem from a different angle, maybe I was lucky, because we could see a historic improvement, and actually I believe it helped to elevate the importance of the game of chess. So I view chess today as a very important territory where many experiments can take place. So that's why I consider that it was really, you know, a lucky moment for me, and also we could we could see the dramatic rise of the quality of the chess preparation. So we probably learned more about chess in the last 10 years than or previous 1,000 years. So, and again, this statement works not only for chess, but probably for anything else. Now, talking about the match with the famous, or from my view, infamous match with Deep Blue, yeah, it was not a typical computer, you know, that's with the software. So the way we think about it, it has almost no architecture. You know, there's 256 processors. Each of them made, I think, 1.5 million positions per second. So, and for IBM, it was a scientific project of maximizing the input from parallel processors. Actually, they succeeded, because at a certain point, you know, the machine reached a level of 200 million positions per second, which is, you know, more than 40% of its power, and it was a great result at the time. Also, you know, the match was significant because from the very beginning of the chess computing era, and actually mention that later a bit in more details, that's the first chess playing algorithm was invented by no one else but Alan Turing, and there was no computer around. So the only game that this algorithm played in a game was recorded when Turing himself served as a human CPU. So just, you know, calculating the moves allegedly that is to be made by the machines. But the idea of the pioneers of the chess computing concept was that chess eventually could serve as an ultimate test of the intelligence. If machine can beat humans in chess, it's some sort of artificial intelligence. Now, to the contrary, the first major success, if you mark 1997 match with Deep Blue as the first major success for computers, was exactly the opposite. Deep Blue was all about brute force of calculation. I mean, there was no sign of intelligence even there. So, and again, I think it was quite an important experiment, and we could see that, you know, the artificial intelligence may not necessarily look the way we think it will look. Because certain scientists believe that, you know, you can at one point can recreate the way humans making decisions. Okay, maybe again, you just have to start, you know, simply calculating, and with billions and billions of positions per second, you can reach the same conclusion, and that's a big issue. If you reach the same conclusion, you know, approaching it from different avenues, what does it mean? So is it artificial intelligence or what? So again, for me, I'm not a scientist. I can raise this question, and I believe, you know, our experience could be extremely helpful in analyzing the artificial intelligence paradox. Of course, I was quite upset, you know, after losing the match, and there were many arguments, and unfortunately, IBM decided to retire Deep Blue. So. I wanted to challenge it for the third match, for the rubber match, because I won the first one in Philadelphia, which is hardly mentioned anywhere. Yeah, lost another one in New York, you know, and the only way for me just to solve all these arguments, you know, what's happened in 1997 was to play another match. Again, Deep Blue was retired. I was thinking that it might be, you know, directed traffic in Philadelphia, but actually I found what it's doing. It's a JetBlue terminal in JFK, so it's making sushi now. Yeah, I love sushi, but I never ate there. Yeah. Now back to Alan Turing. So it's again, there's some sort of anecdote connected to not just to his chess playing passion, but also to his main test. So whether you can distinguish machine from humans, at what point it will be indistinguishable. The position, okay, I don't want to bother you with the details, but that's a funny example, you know, of a game that was played by a weak player who used computers, so was cheating. Yeah, and he, this very weak player, you know, he reached it's an average club player, actually beating many grandmasters in 1999. So when the cheating, yes, it was the beginning of cheating era, where you can just actually get a signal from the computer, and relatively weak players could easily beat strong grandmasters. What's happened in this position, which is easily won? I mean, almost any move, any human move wins the game. So the move that was made, which is here, Queen A7, again, It's the strongest move. Listen, machine shows it as it's a top line. While, you know, this move cannot be considered by any human being because it's unnatural. You don't do crazy combinations when every other move wins. So somehow it was the reverse of the Turing test, because, you know, it was very easy by looking at this very move to actually understand that it was not a human but a computer playing the game. So again, yeah, okay, but he just followed the recommendations, so that's the he just followed. And by the way, you know, after this game, many internet websites they started to develop programs to sort of expose the cheaters. And these programs are based, again, it's a random selection of the lines, of the first lines. If you see too many first lines played by the computer, you make an assumption. So that something is fishy. So it's not played by the humans. But again, it's just the. I think that it's the fact that Turing paid an attention to chess and believed that chess could serve as a very important tool to develop computers. Again, it was reflected in the works of many other great scientists. And I was very honored to be invited to speak at the Turing Centenary last year in Manchester. And with my German friends, actually from the chess base, we even reproduced Turing program and put it in the chess base. So technically you can play the program he created, and trust me, it can beat many weak players. Now, following this Turing idea about, you know, chess and many of his, you know, fellow scientists at the time, that machine playing great chess or beating human champions could show some sort of the artificial intelligence. There is also it's a big question about, you know, at what point, you know, we can consider that machines could be intelligent enough to move forward without our direct assistance. And of course, you know, today we can enjoy access to unlimited data, literal unlimited data. We can just look at the screen, and many, probably overall majority of people nowadays, they enjoy it and they believe that everything can be found on the screen. I'm not so sure, and in fact, you know, machines are still missing something which, in my view, you know, it's a clear demonstration of the intelligence. They're not able to ask questions. Again, I might be wrong, but that's what I think is still, you know, divides us and silicon minds. So, asking question, in many cases, 50% or more of solving the problem. And ironically, you know, it's the many years ago, many decades ago, this problem has been properly described by somebody who was very far from any science. I think it's a great piece of wisdom, you know, just because at the end of the day, we just have to start with the question. And I understand that now there are attempts to actually move forward and just to change things and looking not for simple hardware solution, but also to start to upgrade the software. And that's how I, in my mind, divide IBM. So you have, you know, Deep Blue people and Watson people. So the hardware and software people. So I'm a great believer that the real solutions, you know, can be found only if we upgrade software, both for the machines and also for the humans. And that's, you know, that's IBM Watson. So, and I think it was quite an amazing accomplishment because they made a machine that was able to understand complex issues. I mean, playing Jeopardy is not, you know, it's still, you know, analyzing the data. It's still about, you know, massive force of massive lines and brute force of calculation. But there are other elements. It's not a simple line. It's not just based on pure evaluations. And I found that, you know, this creation, this technological achievement, just move things not just forward, but probably, you know, one level up. And to appreciate how difficult it is, so you can came up with the sentence that cannot be analyzed outside of the context, which is a very human element because we operate with the context. So whether it's too hot for us to eat or it's just sick or whatever to eat itself. So and this kind of the problems that Watson had to solve throughout the process of winning this competition. Okay, now if we assume that we can build these computers and we can move forward with these complicated things as trying to analyze things within the context, we can talk about so us. So now what we can do. I mean, can we add anything to the show? So it seems that many of us believe that our ability to upgrade our software, our ability to improve, it's almost reached the peak. So I don't think so. And even before we start analyzing our mental capacity, how far we can move forward by learning new things and and analyzing this data and just infusing our creativity into this massive amount of information and just making it so more appropriate. I think we can look at the physical abilities. So I came up with the chart just to show the improvement on the 100 meters run. Jesse Owens, by the way, would be 7 meters behind Usain Bolt. So you could see the changes, and so that demonstrates for me that there are huge, there's still room to improve. I mean, we're talking about just 100 meters. It's a very, very short distance. So imagine what can be done, if we're talking about, longer distances, and about, lasting exercises. So, we could see progress even on 100 meters run. But what can we do to sort of upgrade, our cognitive process? So I believe that again, the enough training and with the training and analyzing our experience, so we can do much better than we're doing right now. And the way to progress, and that will be the topic of the conversation today. So that's the title of the conversation. Is whether we can combine our creativity and our power of imagination with this immense power of the computers. So how we can work together. And after playing these matches with Deep Blue, I thought about using chess, the game of chess, to stage the first experiment. So what if, instead of having man versus machine, what if we can have man plus machine facing another man plus machine? The same hardware, different software. So it's like having a car race. So we have different cars, same power, but different models. And I call this advanced chess. The idea was that at a certain level, you can use the machine to help you with your calculations and to avoid blunders, and to guarantee that the quality of the game will be dramatically enhanced because you will avoid these unfortunate mistakes or inaccuracies. Actually, I have to confess that 15 years later, the most successful combinations in advanced chess, they're exactly the opposite. It's not machine helping us, it's rather we are guiding the machine. So, it doesn't mean that you have to be a very strong player to succeed. Somehow, being not so good at chess, okay, decent player, but not the great player, may help you to be more objective in supporting the machine's lines because you are not questioning it. So I'll try to back up my this statement with a practical example. So in 2005, we had an experiment. So on the web, it's some sort of a cheaters competition, because you could play with anything. So basically, it's all about playing the game of chess any way you can. So just bring computers, friends, consultation teams, whatever. And at the beginning of the competition, the results proved what we knew. So the very powerful multiprocessor computer called Hydra, which crushed strong grandmasters before, was eliminated by a grandmaster assisted by the computer. Again, that proved that the concept of advanced chess. Because Hydra couldn't enjoy the same, impunity by just, by moving into the complications, expecting humans to falter at a certain point. Because the moment human is reaching winning position, it switches to the computer. It doesn't have to do anything. So machine will deliver. So yes, we're no longer, relying on our imperfect technique. Also, good human could actually see, this certain lines and to guide the machine and to make sure that, it calculates the most important lines, not just, the whole garbage that is just exists, in any position. What was surprising, it was the final, the result. In the final of this tournament, actually 2 grandmasters, so there was the team, assisted by the PCs, by the computers, they met 2 amateurs, literally amateurs, American amateurs, having 3 computers, just ordinary computers. And the amateurs won. And for me, it was very surprising, but also it was a clear signal. The process is superior to the quality, because they managed. Actually, it was very imperfect because they were yelling at each other, when you see that they recorded it. So looking at the machines, it was very imperfect process. But they managed to maximize the effect of receiving information from each screen and looking at the numbers, at the lines, so to guide all these machines in the right direction. So they won, and now we could see even more and more games played with this algorithm. And that's what I said, quite a paradox is that you don't need very strong players. You need people with enough chess intelligence, but you don't need very strong players to guarantee that machines will play an intelligent game. So somehow, again, it's just even the being too strong, may jeopardize your guidance, because you'll try to actually question. So if I look at the screen, inevitably I will be trying to figure it out whether it's maybe you could do better. No. You just, you are here to play the role of the guide. So, and I think this is quite, quite an important experiment. And again, in chess, it's a quite unique field. You can find out the best algorithm. So that's what I think, it's a future of decision making. So you have experts who will know how to maximize the effect of this immense computing power, and to make sure that it's concentrated in the right directions. Because we're still dealing with immense amount of information, and I will show this again on one of the chess examples. So basically, though, you can look at the tree. So that's the you look at this tree, the lines. You start calculating, and that's how it looks at first instance. You move further, and you can have even more. So it's exponential branching, and you need more more computational speed. So and then eventually you reach this tree. This is a perfect tree. You see everything. The problem is, so what's the right path? So you can have billions of names in a database, but at the end of the day, so it's like on Facebook. But you just have to, if you want to identify certain avenue, so how to make the selection? So that's where I believe the human factor can be decisive. Because at a certain point, humans can actually start cutting trees that are, cutting branches that are not important for this specific task. So, and instead of having this vast tree that, that where you can be lost no matter how much computing power you have, so you can actually start moving in the direction that is important for this very specific undertaking. Again, in chess, you can prove it and you can demonstrate it in practice. So I had few events. I spoke at Google, I spoke at Facebook, and I spoke at Palantir. It's a company that is specializing in protecting the data, and Palantir has been looking for this algorithm, for adding manpower or brain power to protect vulnerable computer data from the hackers. Because simply using computers against the human-led attacks is impossible. So that's why you have to create, the human-led defense. So, and again, I think chess is almost perfect for that, perfect field. Today we are, it's December 5, 2013, and I always look at the day in history. And actually on December 5, 1969, the 4-node ARPANET network was established. So that was the birth of the internet. And I always, I love this story because, it brings us back to this golden era of the 50s and 60s. And I think it's highly underestimated. So what was achieved then, and how the scientists that didn't have, by modern standards, sufficient means, how they could move forward and just to come up with these great concepts. 1962, Professor Leonard Kleinrock, and I'm privileged I was privileged to meet him, and I asked him about his works. In 1962, he came up with the concept of packet switching, which basically was the birth of the whole concept. And when I asked him, what was behind this thinking, he said that from the early days, he was dreaming about making machines talking to each other. So that's a great idea. So that's, again, it's human, sort of setting up a task, asking the right question, and coming up with the concept. And the leading scientist of DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, Joseph Licklider, in 1963, the year I was born, he came up with the memo, and he talked about intergalactic computer network. Intergalactic. They thought big. So, and by the way, the memo included probably every element of the modern technology, including Skype, voice over IP. And it took 6 more years after this memo before the first signal was sent from UCLA to Stanford, and they failed in October 29, 1969. But on December 5, actually they established the first working network. Again, I think that it's a demonstration of our power. So we're still able to change the world if we have, if we look at the skies, at the stars, and they definitely look at the stars. So and also just to back it up, there's the real science by the science fiction. So I also came up from a statement from one of the greatest writers. It's about lifelong education. This is it's a little known book. I think he wrote the book in 1986. And I found it quite amazing that a great mind who succeeded in predicting most of our achievements of the 20th century, or even early 21st century, he failed in his futuristic book where he tried to project the future for 2019. This is the 50th anniversary of moon landing. And he thought about totally different environments. So we are still, it's 6 more years to come, but I think we failed to meet his predictions. One of the key elements, that is just of his vision of the future was this lifelong education. So people could actually change their jobs, their occupations by learning all the time. So it seems to me that we definitely failed on that. So we don't think that we have an ability to actually to upgrade our software after a certain we probably somehow we are paralyzed by these massive computing powers. So, and our beliefs that if we need an answer, we'll find it there. So just, you just have to push enough button, certain number of buttons, and you will be helped by these by the box containing immense amount of information. So by the way, another great English science fiction author, H.G. Wells. Actually, I was surprised when I looked at this at the quote in the Wikipedia, is English. I was quite surprised because in Russia, when I read these books in Russian, it always said Herbert Wells. so I wasn't sure for a moment that it was the same person. Yes. He said that the civilization is a race between education and catastrophe. So, and I think right now, and this is our own technology could be the catastrophe. And so that's why education must catch up. I also wanted just to as a final part of this talk, I wanted to mention the possibilities, which I think also are immense, of using new technologies to improve our governing system. So what we call e-democracy. So this is Ukraine, the flags. So it's a very topical. And that's the picture. I like this use picture from Egypt from 2011 early stage of Egyptian revolution, because I think it's ongoing. So it reminded me that at certain points on human history, there were global changes initiated by the dramatic increase in the spread of the information. So that's by the end of the Middle Ages. So the information was available to a very, very small circle of people. So the book printing created a totally new environment. So suddenly, instead of being controlled by few families and kept in secret in monasteries, the information became available to, not to everybody, but to quite broad groups of people, and it immediately led to dramatic political changes, social and political changes. So I think that today, or not these days, we're facing the similar process because the information, now is available to literally everybody on the planet. So we just, it could go anywhere, and so I would probably call this process, from the book printing to the Facebook era. It's from Gutenberg to Zuckerberg. Yeah, and now when we have this ability to spread information around, so can we actually use it? Can we create an algorithm to make sure that the human brains that can be picked up from literally every corner in the world, and to contribute to overall progress? I'm a great believer that of the theory that the talent exists everywhere. It's all about our ability or inability to actually discover it, to reveal the talent. So now with all these tools that's available in every desert of the world, so can we create an algorithm, so an interface, to make sure that people, it could be really an interactive, a two-way street. So it's not just receiving information, but also people can give something back. Because the inventions should not come only from American's garage. So I believe there are other places in the world where people, given proper conditions, could create great things. And also what is important is to find a way to improve the communication between elected officials and the voters. Because in the modern environment, many issues that the government has to deal with, they are not part of the campaign debate. Things change very quickly. And within 6 months or 1 year, an elected official could be faced, whether it's the president, prime minister, or just municipal level, will be faced with the problems that were not part of the campaign debate. Also, there's another problem that very often our choice is limited to two or just a few individuals, but let's say 2, like in America. And we may not like everything that one person says, but he is lesser evil compared to another one. So we look for somebody who represents us, let's say, out of 10 issues on 7. Now, the problem is that the moment we elect this person, he represents us on all 10. And that creates certain problems. So I think that the technology today allows us to create a system that will definitely demonstrate that the mandate of the elected official is limited to the certain things. We should be able to keep certain issues, our opinion on certain issues, within our power to control. And I think that it's not that complicated. So if we create the system that will allow us to sort of withdraw these key, from our perspective, key elements from the mandate we are giving to the elected official. So basically, we can multiply the power of our vote. It's not just one vote, but it could become 5, 10, whatever. So as many issues we want to cover, we can easily cover them. And it might be even more effective on the municipal level, because there are many problems that are being faced. So they're resulted from lack of this communication and inability of the voters to intervene, because most of them don't care about it. But at a certain point, I do want to raise my voice. So normally I'm happy to elect my president, prime minister for 4 years. But if I want to do something and something happened in the world, how do I get in? And I think that the e-democracy might be a solution. So those like a key issues, that's as multiplying the power of your vote, and also offering an opportunity for individual voter to enter the debate, the deliberation, at a time when he or she finds it appropriate. That's probably another challenge. But for me, just the combination of the things I just briefly described today, it's a clear indication that working together with the computers, so we can actually move forward. And there are great opportunities just laying ahead of us, and it's all about our creativity. Because what I learned also from chess, looking at this young generation of the chess players who are now grown up with computers, somehow creativity is needed even more than before. Because today, everybody has access to the same information. But you need to be really creative. You need to actually find a way to put this, all this, so to tie all these loose ends. And the person who is more creative actually wins. I believe it's this wisdom can go way beyond the chessboard. And I'm still looking for chess serving as the platform for these numerous experiments in the 21st century. Thank you.
I thoroughly enjoyed that, Garry, and I loved your concluding sentence. Those that are most creative will win. And certainly you've shown immense creativity in what you've done in all domains. So Garry's kindly agreed to engage in a question and answer session with us. So who'd like to go first? Yeah, the gentleman at the back.
Thank you very much. Can you tell us what your expert opinion is of Magnus Carlsen, what you think his future potential is, and whether he's got a chance against the machines?
Okay, it's the... I'm not sure I should tell, I should inform the audience Magnus is just, newly born world champion, so also at age 22, also 4 months older than me. Yeah, now I worked with Magnus in 2009, a full year, and I enjoyed it immensely because it's not just because he's a great talent. So naturally, anybody who eventually wins the world title and he's #1 by the great margin now when you look at the ratings, it is a great talent. And he has some sort of it's a combination of Karpov and Fischer. He has a Karpov's precision, just to making the moves, just that, it's using minimum resources to achieve maximum effect. So that's Karpov's style. But it's also this ability is merged with Fischer's ruthless determination. So which just to play to the last pawn, just as some people call, his style is squeezing water out of the stone. So that's and it's impossible for strongest players. I mean, Vishy Anand, he's of course, he was almost twice Magnus' age, but he's a great player. But he couldn't resist this pressure during their World Championship match, recent match in Chennai. And again, Anand had a big advantage. He played in his home territory, so and it didn't work out. So it's but what I found most amazing about Magnus, and it has something a lot to do with our conversation today. The difference with Magnus and the other great talents of his generation, he is not hypnotized by the computer. I saw this effect. This is the hypnotized effect by working with young talented players, and even with players as strong as Hikaru Nakamura, #1 American player, roughly number 5-6 in the world. And it's very often, when I just dealt with these kids, and I'm talking about not amateurs, kids, of 22, 2300 rating, so national masters or even stronger. Very often when they showed me their games, they ended up the analysis saying, machine said, okay, this is a line. Now, my question is, why? And they stared at me, as they were confused. What do you mean, why? Because this is a line. And I said, I know this is a line, I can see it, and I can push the same button. Can you tell me why? And the whole question, why, just for them was like a curse. How can you challenge this? Because it's there, it's on the screen. It's like being enslaved. Magnus always used computer as a calculator. It helps him. So he could look at the screen. He knows that the lines might be perfect, so the calculation, but it never forced him to actually correct. I mean, unless he makes a blunder. But in general, his evaluation of the position did not depend on what he saw on the screen. So I think this is ability to resist this pressure from the machine also dramatically helps him in preparing for the games, because he always keeps his mind fresh. Even the strongest players, I know this, they start playing the game because already being, where their mind being somehow not paralyzed, but somehow infected by this machine geometry. Yeah, you could use it for the training. For instance, at the end of my career, last probably 5 years, when machines were already strong enough, so I used, certain studies to train what I call the computer geometry. So just to see, that's the moves that are very computer, like long moves, the queen. So just to have this clear picture. But when I worked, I always had two of my, coaches sitting there in front of me with computers, and I never had computer in front of me. So it was always a chessboard. So I knew about this danger. Instinctively, I just wanted to resist. But Magnus, what amazed me in 2009, he could look at the computer screen, and he just still offers moves that, that comes from his head. So that's probably it's not coincidence that he's the world champion, which shows that we still have something to offer.
Thank you. Can Putin play chess, and if so, is he any good?
I don't think that he has to, because it's since I left professional chess and moved to what some people mistakenly call politics, I would rather call it human rights activism. I've been asked repeatedly whether my chess experience could help me in Russia, and my answer was negative, because I always said that in chess we had fixed rules and unpredictable results. In Russia, it's exactly the opposite.
The woman over here.
Thank you. I just have to ask this question. So doesn't your previous answer contradict what you said in the presentation? I mean, if the reason that the current champion is as good as he is because he is able to resist machines, and in fact, when amateurs who do not resist machines but paired with a computer beat out two grandmasters with a computer or whatever, or without, doesn't this mean that the current grandmaster will fail under a new paradigm?
No, he's the world champion among humans. Let's make it very clear. He's facing other humans. Now, he will not stand a chance against a human assisted by the computer. So we're talking about somebody who's winning, these 100 meters run or chess competition, not fighting others assisted by the computers. And his ability to free himself from this machine's curse helps him fighting other humans. I personally don't think that he has a real chance. He might, again, if you create proper conditions and it's the rules are he must win 1 game out of 10, I think he might have a chance. That's the only one who has a chance today. But still, it's not winning the match. It's just trying to find one game, one great moment where he will be able to demonstrate his stamina stable enough or steady enough to win the game. By the way, if just look at the games he played at a World Championship match. He won 2 games in the completely drawn endgames because his opponent faltered. He couldn't resist this pressure. It's not going to work with a computer. So machine doesn't care, just as, how good are the moves of the opponent and how long the game goes on. So this is the Magnus' strength, is deadly for the humans. I don't think this magic will work against the computers.
Tim?
I'm just curious to know, and I don't know anything about these chess algorithms, but if you went out and bought half a dozen chess programs and you set them all running kind of independently, in the situations where they all agreed about the next move, would that be an indication of something that that a human couldn't do better than the machine? And conversely, you showed an example where the machine moved the queen to a7.
Actually, technically, human moved the
human.
the human moved, but followed by the.
But it was followed because they were following a machine, was it?
Yes, of course.
So again, if you had half a dozen different programs, in that situation, would they have given very different? So is there a kind of correlation between the extent to which different algorithms agree that really is a sound, reliable prediction, and where they sort of disagree that's one where you can't rely on the.
Tim runs our climate modeling group.
No, it's a very important question, and it's the you said, and you you underlined different computer programs, and they're quite different, in fact, because each machine must have its own scale of evaluation, and you have to attach certain numbers to key factors, and that's how machines, that's why they're not so flexible, because if the king safety has the highest number, which it normally has, so and other factors having less, so it's almost impossible to see it, probably impossible, that machine will start paying attention to the less important factors, undermining something that has such a big, evaluation. They are getting, a little bit of more flexibility lately, but still, it's far from being, perfect from the human sense. I should not calculate certain lines. I'll recognize, either from my experience or intuitively, that there's something is wrong here. So I don't have even to look at this line because the combination of factors, it's some sort of it destroys the harmony, the way I see it at the board. In many cases, you don't need 6 different computers, 6, 10, or even 2. One might be enough if it's a straight line. So we're talking about situations where there is no clear cut, so it's not winning or losing. It's a decision that that should be based on evaluating different factors. I can hardly imagine the situation where 6 different computers can agree. Because again, they will be looking at certain lines, so assume they have the same hardware, and they will be reaching this whatever the horizon is, and then they will be evaluating it. Very difficult to imagine. They will, theoretically yes, but what can happen with the human operator just looking at the screens? So it could start, also using his or her intelligence by just recognizing which actually line looks better. So what I would do if I'm an operator, I look at these different screens. If I could see all of them, and I will start redirecting the power of other computers in just at the route that I think the most important. Technically, I can also make a mistake, but that's why I'm here saying somebody with less chess expertise, but with better reading of the computers, recognizing also that the sort of the random effect. So which machine does better in certain positions. Somebody will be probably a better operator by recognizing that this kind of position actually serves this machine better. Maybe we should start all moving the power of other computers in this direction. I will still, because I still remember how to move the pieces, I think I will not be able to have a sort of a clear vision, because I will have my own idea. So I will be my judgment will be marred by the fact that I could make my own evaluation, and it may actually contradict. So it's sometimes, it's the too much chess expertise here could actually downgrade the power of the machines that otherwise could become immense.
Thank you for the talk. I think in one of your slides, you showed us a competition between 2 humans and an IBM computer in the middle, and there was something like a table on the left-hand side corner, it's a comparison between humans and IBM. So in one of the comparisons, it was something like computation time per second, like computations per second, which I realized the human is much higher than the computer. So I was quite confused, because I thought at least for the mathematical calculations, like 13 plus 28 is 41, something like that, the computers is much faster than the humans. So why you showed us that the computation time for the humans is higher than the computers in 1 second? One of your slides.
What's the slide?
Okay, the screen's not on.
The screen's not on, yes.
We can put it back on.
What is that?
This, by the way, is
processors versus computation.
Mick Greenwald, who's working with Garry.
But that's, of course, based on things like neurons firing.
Yeah, but that's okay. But okay. But that's based on, again, this is neurons. So this number is, okay, I'm not sure we can calculate correctly. This one is, something that, this is a hard data. This one is our assumption, so that's how our brain's operating. So, I mean, visual. So technically, if we want to have a fair comparison, then when I play Deep Blue, so Deep Blue could make probably an average 100 million positions per second. I could make 2. So no matter how many neurons work in my mind, but eventually when you start comparing, apples and apples, not apples and plums. So that's many millions versus very, very few. So this is a human brain guess. Yes, exactly. So that's a real one. That's a guess.
Sorry. Okay, over here.
Thank you. So after the match with the World Championship, you wrote something, a very interesting piece where you spoke about Carlsen. And you said that in certain positions, simplified positions, endgame positions, it was your impression that he seemed to have an almost intuitive grasp of precisely the value of this position. Yeah. And you contrasted that with your own style. You said, your own style required tremendous energy and effort at the board to come to the truth in that position. And this, it sounds almost magical, right? I mean, Carlsen looking at, simple position after simple position and evaluating them instinctively, intuitively, correctly, whereas someone as talented as you would have a lot of effort. How do you account for something like that?
No, it's, when you have two great players, two great scientists, great, we may go to the military battleground, so, and that's two different armies, you know, of the similar strengths. There are always different styles. So if you look at the soccer, so you have Brazilians versus Italians, two extremes. But both teams won many titles. Brazilians 5, if I'm correct, Italians 4. Attacking style versus catenaccio, defensive style. So in tennis, you can always have, you know, a #1 player with a powerful serve and rushing to the net, or somebody playing from the back line. So same in chess. So the fact is that Magnus is so good and playing simple positions, and I was very good in playing attacking chess, didn't mean that I couldn't win a simple endgame playing perfectly, and he would not be able to mate you by sacrificing a number of pieces. What it says is that when two great players, they meet, the match, the game will be decided at its climax. And at the climax, when you are under pressure, the psychological pressure, time pressure, you always start using your instincts. So that's why the nature of the position will most likely decide the outcome. Because if we play the Magnus chances, or Karpov, somebody I played, similar to, Karpov chances to win simple endgame were higher. While if I could succeed of bringing him to the complicated positions, my chance improved. That's simply, it's about big numbers. So that's why, it's the outcome of any major battle will very often depend on the terrain. So that's, I always say, that's just like, medieval battleground. You have two roughly even armies. One has a strong element of cavalry, another one a strong element of archery. So if the battle is, if the terrain is the valley, the cavalry will prevail. If you go to the hills, the result will be the opposite. So it's same as here.
Great. Gentleman far right.
Google's programmers recently admitted that they don't know how their own algorithms are now so efficient at recognizing objects in images. What do you think this means for artificial intelligence?
All it means that, again, that's the it's further removed. I think that's it's the probably more unpredictable the results, because we are it's sort of Pandora box. Some may say it's Pandora box, but we're just opening it's like exploration. So it's we don't know what is ahead. So we may think that we are sailing to India, but eventually we'll be opening America. So that's I think it's the same. So it's exploration. It's we think that we know the world we live in, but then the moment we start exploring, we'll just discover things that is with our current instruments, it's impossible to actually to describe. So probably soon, when we'll have enough experience, we'll be able to actually understand this process. So that's a good sign. It means we're on the right path.
Yeah, gentleman over there, red jumper.
One of the matches that fascinated me was when you took on the world. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, in the years since then, there's been quite a lot of growth in social media and connectivity online. Do you think that if you were to do that again, the world would stand a better chance than it did last time?
No,
and are you prepared to go for it?
No, it's I wish I could spend enough time to describe this unique experiment. It was 14 years ago, so and it was designed as the pure advertising event, so just a promotional event by Microsoft. So and nobody expected this to become a serious battle. So in order to avoid big confusions from the very beginning, because the moves were voted by the majority, and it's just majority. Collective ownership may not work, in this case. So it's they came up with the concept of 4 professional players recommending the moves. So the crowd had to select among these 4 options proposed by professional players, young professional players. Now, what's happened quickly that one of them, Irina Krash, the American, the female player, she was assisted by the group of quite talented, organizers, managers, and they came up 1999. Let's remember, 14 years ago. It was like a message board. They managed to actually bring these thousands and thousands of spectators, participants in this case, into the process and created sort of a massive parallel processors network where people could actually look at the certain positions like a message board, analyze this, analyze that. So they worked out, as a team. I think today it could be far more sophisticated. And I think that today this exercise almost impossible because you have so many, it's cloud technology. That was, you may call a prototype of the cloud technology in one specific game. The game probably was the highest quality ever played because it was not just them using computers. So at a certain point very quickly I recognized the strengths of the opposing force. I came up with my own team, 2 coaches, computers. Plus we had a very powerful computer in Israel. So working also analyzing the lines that I wanted to look at. So it was just basically a fight of advanced chess on both sides. So I had a small team of professionals assisted by the computers, and they do crowdsourcing. Playing this game today, I mean, might be interesting, but I think it's not as it may lead to, by the way, to very interesting results because what also just bothered me that recently I looked at the new databases. That's in chess they solve all 4 pieces positions, 5 pieces positions, 6 pieces positions, now 7 pieces positions. The total I think is about 100 terabytes. So that's I don't think we'll move way beyond 8 pieces positions because again it becomes too big. But when I looked at the at this database with seven pieces, it was quite striking that many positions like king, 2 rooks, knight versus king and 2 rooks, 7 pieces. The original position stated mate in 290 moves. Now, the funny thing is that when I looked at this position and I looked at the solution, if you may call it the solution, I have to confess that by around move 220, I believe that white spoiled the position. So I couldn't see what's happened throughout 220 moves. To the contrary, I just believed that maybe some chances were, that they were lost. So only around move 240, I could actually recognize what was happening. So now, I had a question that if many positions, and now it's not only 290, there are some positions with 450 moves. So mate. Now, if a perfect play, and we're talking about perfect play, because it's not chess, it's just, it's mathematics. If the perfect play in some 7 pieces, in the 7 pieces endgame could lead to a mate in 450 moves, and if we consider that the opening position is the endgame, ultimate endgame with 32 pieces, and the average length of the human chess game is about 50 moves, what kind of chess we're playing? So what kind of quality if we manage to solve the game in 50 moves while the perfect game may last 25,000 moves? I don't know. So it's I think that we just if we do experiments, we should probably find other forms, because today just competing the way we competed 14 years ago would not be very effective.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah. Sorry.
Thanks, Gary. That was great. You speak really beautifully of the kind of the power of human creativity and imagination. And I suppose sitting here thinking, as we do have human versus machine and the rise of computers, and in addressing the challenges of the 21st century, what do you see as being vital in terms of nurturing that kind of creativity so that we can solve some of these problems? And should we be teaching everybody to play chess?
Again, playing chess is not necessary. Just for me, chess is it's a great tool to analyze our decision-making process, and also just to offer an opportunity to see what we can do with our creativity if it's merged with the computer force. I think the greatest challenge is now that I think we do not believe that we have to, as the scientists from DARPA, that we can move much further than we are now. So I think that's the certain sense of this, of the limits. So we reach certain limits, and that's why we may, this may be compared to the medieval science. So it's or to the physics of the end of the 19th century. So it's the sense of completion. We did it. I think that we have to start asking big questions again. I think we just have to recognize that with all these great tools, I mean, we can do much more than we are just accomplishing now. And I think that's what we learned from chess is that we have to recognize that failure is not a failure, but is a step towards success. And that's what I think chess could actually teach kids, because I've been engaged in chess and education, and I've been traveling around the world, and I could see that almost everywhere, kids from early days, they're learning that failure is nothing but failure. So they're afraid of making mistakes. They're afraid of taking risks. And if you want to succeed, I mean, you have to try. And if you try to, and you want to invent something new, you may fail. So it's probably it's important for us to understand that the failure of a single individual or in a group of people may still benefit the human race. The way it's happened at the age of exploration. So how many ships returned from the high seas? But eventually, those who actually did it, who crossed the Atlantic and the Pacific, they created they opened a new world to us. So I think that's a future, and I think that we should have to recognize that we have an immense power behind us. So that's these computers, they could help us to go deep, in the ocean, up to the skies, to the space. We have to start thinking about new challenges, and sky's the limit.
That's beautiful. Yeah, the woman over here.
Hi, thanks. So I imagine the Deep Blue match was quite a disappointment for the artificial intelligence community, being that it depended on brute force. And with advanced chess and so the whole human-machine interaction, you move a step away from brute force, but still stop short of true independent artificial intelligence. So I guess my question is, are you quite pessimistic about artificial intelligence as a possibility, or maybe chess just isn't the platform for this sort of to advance?
But as one of the questions just I tried to answer a few minutes ago. So I'm not sure we'll recognize the artificial intelligence, because we have to come up with a clear definition, and I think that we're still it's quite vague. So what it is. So we're looking for the results. So just what are the criteria of saying, here it is. So this is artificial intelligence. So is it just a result, or the result that is reached by the means that we can appreciate?
So maybe chess isn't the right platform for this.
Oh, look, maybe yes, but it's like democracy, as Winston Churchill said. It's not, it's probably the worst, but the only available. So I'm not sure that you have other territories where you can actually try to compare. It's flawed. I agree. But at least here we already have a lot of experience. It's been accumulated over decades, and we can start comparing results. Irony is that other board games that are far more complicated for the computer. It's actually today, this morning at the seminar, I just mentioned the Japanese chess, shogi or Go. They are actually they too difficult for the machine, because the value of the piece, it always changes. So there's chess, among other potential mind instruments, in my view, is still the most sophisticated.
I think we just have time for one more, and then you're all invited to join us for a drink next door. So, and Garry will be there for about half an hour to be able to follow up with him individually. But I know many of you have to go to college dinners and things. So, yeah.
Just a short
James.
one. You've talked about how human and machine working together can augment chess.
What's your view on the augmentation of humans through drugs or through clinical aids? People are talking a lot now about scientists taking drugs to improve their creativity or taking drugs to improve their mental stamina. Where does that come in this man versus machine?
Chemicals. No, I understand chemicals, but I don't think that people taking different substances to improve their mental qualities or physical abilities is a modern problem. I think it has been with the human race throughout our history. So the drugs were different, or the different substances, but still people always were looking for ways to get stronger, smarter. I think that your question might be more relevant if it's connected to the cyber problem potentially. So if we're talking about merging, human brains with some artificial elements that may boost it, frankly speaking, I think it's inevitable. Because if we find a way to move forward, you can't stop people taking, like in sport. I mean, we all understand that no matter how many substances are banned by IOC, people always find a way to go around. So, frankly speaking, at one point, I was even thinking, why not just to allow every drug? So just if people want to do that, so how can you stop it? So because it is creating all sorts of restrictions, it's basically makes it a competition among. Yes, it's a pharmaceutical competition. So who can come up with the best drug not to be discovered by the current, system of protecting the integrity of the sport. So I think that when these systems are available, I can hardly imagine people resisting the temptation to use them. So it's just, it will be another prediction of the science fiction that will eventually come true. So I think that certain things throughout this progress, some people may say it's not a progress, but throughout this development of the human race, we have to find a way to adjust, and not just to say no, it's not possible, because many people don't believe that the stem cell research is godly. So what? So it will not stop it. So that's why I think that we just have to try to sort of measure this effect, but not to stand in the way, pretending that we can stop it.
So Garry's not only been working on this, but he's also been working on many other areas, including that around innovation and the drivers of innovation. In fact, that was the topic of his previous talk at Oxford. Garry, this has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. I think it's been inspiring for all of us to hear you, and also your belief in creativity and looking at the horizons and reaching them in all sorts of ways to address 21st century challenges. So thank you so much. We hope you spend a lot of time in Oxford in the future.
Yes, I have to now.
We want to engage with you. And very good luck to you as it is. But thank you so much for engaging with us this evening.
Thank you.